The next speaker, certainly a member of the Shotgun Band, certainly been working within the Nickel Valley for the last while. I'd like to call upon Mandy Jimmy.
Okay, handlak. Je edish wacht na ea. Dus mokikt. As we na akwanjudum dem as Jews ha cook bit ujea. Je as Jews. Amasish we age with akwanjudum dem as Jews. As Jews. Ni homeless. Good evening, everybody. I'm very, very honored to be here. I'm honored that the committee asked me to speak. And what I'm here to speak about this evening is Gordon's involvement with education in the Nickel Valley and also his involvement in other educational endeavors across the province. As many of you know, he's done a lot of work in education, and with the limited amount of time that we have this evening, I can only say some of the things he's done. I won't be able to say all the things that he's done. And, but I'd like to highlight some of the things from my perspective as to what he has done. Over the years that I have known Gordon, the first time I really noted what he did, and I don't know if I ever told him this, but when I was probably grade 6 or 7, every year, especially in the month of June, there was grad photos that were in the Merritt Herald, and of course they're still in there, but I remember looking at them, even at that young age, and looking at them, and of course being inspired by the fact that people were in there, people that we knew and people that were from the community. So that was one of my first experiences knowing it. So even then he was a role model. And apparently when he was in grade 12, he took physics 12, chemistry 12, biology 12, math 12. Often he'll talk about the fact that he hasn't received his degree, his dogwood diploma, but in those days, I won't say how many years ago, I don't know how many years ago that was, but that was a major accomplishment. So I raise my hands to you for that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Apparently he aced physics. And if any of you who have taken physics is a really challenging course. So I'm, of course, totally amazed by the things that he's done in that area. The other thing that I really want to mention too, and I've heard him say this over the years, is the fact that the elders in the valley, probably from when he was very, very young, has influenced his life greatly. And I understand that his great-grandmother, Dimolinik, was one of the ones that he had spent a lot of time with. And from my understanding was that he spent a lot of time with her at Stekwish. And in talking to Albert, I understood that he spent a lot of time, well, of course, grew up in Coldwater. So those are some of his early education. Apparently he went to Counts Indian student residence from grades 1 to 3, and then would have went into the public school from grade 4 on, and went to Merritt High School. So that's some of the comments I'd like to make about his formal education. Now, there's what I'd like to speak about now is some of the things that he has done from when I have known him. And I first began to know Gordon when I was a university student, and he was, of course, at the Nickel Valley Indian Administration Office as a chief and what have you, but I first got to know him as a university student, and he was very, very supportive of all the work that the students were doing that were going off to university, colleges, and what have you. So that was an area where I felt that he was very supportive, and he's very supportive today. And I think those of us who have gone off and we've attained our degrees and what have you, and those that are working toward their degrees, we really appreciate that. So I'd like to acknowledge that. Okay. In fact, maybe what I should do, I did do some, I've got a lot of notes here, but I wanted to quote something from a report that, that has some of Gordon's words. Gordon, this is in regard to post-secondary funding. Gordon stated in 1991 and 1992 in a report, "Most important for me has been the dedication of the student body towards the successful completion of their programs. The wonder of hearing of the personal success of former students in their work places heart swelling." So there is an example of how we felt about the students that have carried on. Some of the other work, of course, was with band education. And I'm referring back to about 25 years ago, when in the tribal office was operating under another organization in Nicola Valley Indian Administration Office. And in those days, we were all working together collectively, and so we all did things together. But what was really important to me when I sit back and think about what he had done at that stage was the fact that he was always there to bail us out. He was there if we were requiring more funding. Education was such an important thing for Gordon, and sometimes we went over budget, but he was always there to help us and help us to talk to the various. In fact, he was there speaking to the various government agents and what have you. So he was very, very involved in all the things that we did. And the other thing too, I noted too, was Gordon discussed the many options available to many, and basically was instrumental in opening many doors for community members and helped people realize the many doors that were available to them today. I recall when we were looking at some of the education statistics, there were a great number of students who were going off. A lot of you that are in this room would have been students that were there, and each one was really carefully noted, and it was something that was really important. Of course, Gordon was involved with band-controlled education. The Coldwater, Upper Nicola and Lower Nicola School started in the 1980s. Gordon was involved with the growth of the three schools. Today, he continues to be very involved with the Coldwater School in the terms of advice, development, and support. And Gordon, as far as I know, is an ex officio member of the Coldwater School Board. And over the years, Gordon has gone to speak to the local school district, the school boards. I noticed that there's a school trustee here tonight, Gordon Swan. And he's also talked to superintendents to discuss the many educational issues that we've had to confront over the years. So there's been involvement with education at all levels. I spent a little bit of time talking about post-secondary education. I mentioned how he's acknowledged and supported the students, but the area that I want to really highlight is the work that he has done with Nicola Valley Institute of Technology. He's been involved with the development of NVIT since 1983, when it started in the basement of the Schluch Hall. Apparently, there were early discussions with he and Robert Sterling, and they had a vision, they had a dream that there would be a native college in the valley. Now, I'm not too sure how long ago that was, but I remember in the late 70s that Robert Sterling mentioned that, and I'm not too sure where they were. I think they were sometimes having some. He's going like this, so so it's nice to know that there was those early dreams and thoughts about that. And Gordon's been a founding board member and chairperson of NVIT up until a short while ago. One of the things that was really important in terms of the growth and development of NVIT was the planning for the NVIT facility. His involvement and comments are reflected in the chairman's report in 1988 and 89. Gordon states, "One near future objective is to consolidate our facilities in a manner that will continue to afford the learning environment that creates the winds of change all of us seek in our communities." As everyone knows, the new NVIT campus will be open in January. In fact, the NVIT staff and other members have had a tour of the facility today. Another accomplishment. I raise my hands to you. The other areas that Gordon's been involved in, and I'm going to not talk about them in too much detail, but his work in economic development. He's sat on many boards, many economic development ventures, and considers that to be an important aspect to the community development. The merging of community development and education critical to improving the quality of life and self-reliance of people. That was something that I heard when I first began to work at the Nicola Valley Indian Administration Office. The goal was to improve the quality of the life of the Nicola people and to work towards self-reliance. And as I stand here, and as I look at all the people that are here, and as I look at this facility that we're in, and the school that we have, and all that we have around the walls, I think, and the way how everyone is here, and we're here to recognize the achievement of one of our community members. To me, that shows that we have improved the quality of our life and that we are becoming more self-reliant. So again, I raise my hands to you. The other area that's very, very important to me personally, as many of you know, I work with language, is how he has worked and supported and practices and values our culture and our language. Gordon speaks Intlekepmukjin whenever he can, and I think he understands in Chilchin. And of course, since I'm not Okanagan, I don't know exactly how well he knows it, but I'm sure if he had to speak it, he probably could. He has been a role model when it comes to using Intlekepmukjin. You can hear him speak Intlekepmukjin at the community meetings, particularly if there's elders present. If a student of language were to study all events Gordon has spoken, there would be a large amount of work to review. A lot of the meetings, we've recorded the material, and if someone was to collect all that work, there would be a lot of work there to study, and I think that would be something that would be good. So I think Gordon has been a real good model for the use of the language at all our meetings. So again, I raise my hands to you. Okay. He practices Intlekepmuk traditions, values, and beliefs all the time, from the way he conducts himself on a daily basis to collecting and gathering of the foods and other resources, and also to passing on the knowledge to many members. He's worked with people like Leslie Tepper from the Civilization of Man and Museum of Civilization, Canadian Museum of Civilization in Ottawa. He's worked with Nancy Turner, and there's probably a number of people that I could mention, but those are the ones that came to mind. So he's had a lot of involvement with what people have done over the years. Another area that I understand that Gordon's been really involved with, and I'm not too sure exactly to what degree he's done this, but over the years he's been invited to many, many workshops to be guest speakers and has been the keynote address. And to me that is something that I think that has been a major accomplishment in the work that he has done. Okay. Something I would like to say in regard to that, although we were brought up to be quite humble, at least from my perspective we are, over the years, Nicola Valley has always been a place to keep an eye on in regard to education, economic development, politics, health, family and child services, and probably other things I could mention. Many organizations from other parts of the country would come in to check to see what is happening here, and I think Gordon had a hand in that. Okay, again, I raise my hand to you. Okay. Other areas that he's been involved in, at the national level and the provincial level, Gordon has been involved in the following. He's been involved with the Chiefs Committee, the National Chiefs Committee on Education. He was involved with that for 5 years. He was a board member for the First Nations House of Learning at the University of British Columbia. He was a board member at the University College of the Cariboo, and also on the provincial task force on post-secondary education. Apparently he co-chaired that. And another one, I'm not too sure exactly the title, but he was involved with the capacity building, perhaps task force. I'm not too sure what that was. So there was a number of areas that he worked at. Another thing that Gordon has had a lot of impact onto is over the years with the change in governments and what have you, he's, in my mind, had a real important role in that he has expressed to the various government agencies and government ministries and premiers, and I wouldn't doubt the premier, the prime minister, talked with them many times over the years, and I think that should be something that that we should acknowledge and be proud of the fact that he was able to do all that for us. Some of the other things, one other thing in regard to just some general comments is what I've heard Gordon say the last little while. A recent message or focus I've been hearing him state is the importance or the necessity to encourage and enable business opportunities and to prepare our youth so that they can prepare themselves to get into business opportunities. And I think that's really important, and I've heard him say that, and I've heard him say that in reference to the school here. So I think that's another area, another thing that we have to really be thankful for. In conclusion, I stated earlier, one can only say so much in 10 minutes, okay? But as I stand here and look at everyone dressed very nice, and we are in an educational facility, celebrating the community members' accomplishment, I would certainly say the quality of life and stuff and the self-reliance of people has happened. I said that earlier, but I want to make sure that I've said that again. And in closing, all I'm going to say is that with success comes a lot. It doesn't come by chance. It comes by hard work, perseverance, commitment, and a positive attitude. Okay?